Hi everybody and welcome to the Reconnection Space. So the Reconnection Space is all about exploring reconnection with ourselves, reconnection with the world around us, with our relationships. And something I've been talking a lot about in recent weeks is this whole concept of raising your bar high. And I want to really focus on why that's important, not just to raise your bar high, but also to nurture that bar. So rather than think of this bar as fixed, like a pole vault bar, you know, where you're going over the top and that's where you want people to be and that's how you want to be treating yourself. When we talk about raising your bar, I want you to imagine more that you've got one of those arches in the garden and you're growing something beautiful over the top of the arch. So first you plant the seeds, and you plant the seeds of what you want to nurture and grow. And then as they grow, you start to support them. So you put the stakes in and you put your arch effect in, and then you learn to train what you're growing to grow around the arch and go over the arch, okay? Because when you are raising your bar, what you're doing is you're laying out the standard that you want to be treated by. You're laying out the standard that you want to treat yourself by, that you want others to treat you by, and that you role model for others, because you say, you know what, my bar is high and I want your bar for yourself to be equally high. So to do that, we can't just say, well, this is the bar and that's it, you know, I've done my bit. You've got to nurture it, you've got to train it, you've got to demonstrate what that bar means. Now, interestingly, when you have one of these garden arches or these trellises that you grow in your garden, if any of you have done that, you'll know that you start to get these little tendrils and they don't quite go where they're meant to go, right? And that can be a little bit like conversations and relationships, both with yourself and with other people. And what you might be tempted to do is say, oh, just leave that one. I won't deal with that right now. I'll work it out later. But what you find then is you come back and a few more tendrils have grown into that space and it's gone a little bit further away from where it needs to be. And when you are dealing with people and you're dealing with relationship with yourself, if you don't constantly look to put those tendrils back where they need to be, then they're going to start to grow into that space. And the longer you leave it, the harder it is, isn't it? You know, you've all been there where you thought, I wish I had addressed that, but I didn't address it. And now I'm having to have an even more difficult conversation. And to get quite brutal, when you don't look after and you don't deal with this archway and you don't look after those tendrils and you leave it to get overgrown and the gap gets filled, what happens then is that you end up having to get a big pair of shears and you end up having to chop things out. And you really don't want to be in that space, because the bar is where you want people to be aiming. And it's where you want to be aiming in terms of your standards. But that space is equally important. Having that space, I want you to imagine that that's a space in which you can communicate. So sometimes you come in under the bar. Sometimes other people come in under the bar. But if there is space, then you can see that that's happened. You can be clear that that's happened. It's not all overgrown. It's not all messy. You're not wondering who's where and what's going on. So that space is your communication space. That's your ability to be able to say to someone else, I'm really not sure that was how I really wanted to be treated, or actually I think you could treat yourself better than that, or perhaps you need to have a word with yourself and say, yeah, I came in under the bar there, but I can see that. And you can't see that if you've allowed everything to get in under the bar. Now, what can also happen is if you really let things get really messy in that space and it all gets overgrown and you don't go in, and you know, it can pull that bar down, can't it? So your bar gets lowered and in the end it's on the ground. then people are going over the bar, but not in a good way. They're just stepping over you because the bar is low. So they haven't got to put any effort in how they're treating you. So that's what I wanted you to think about today. This whole analogy of, where is your bar? Where are your standards? Do you role model them to yourself? Do you role model them to other people? This is really, really important, because in the next video, we're going to start looking at your relationships in depth with other people and your expectations of them, and the times when you may be disappointed. You know, we've all been there, yeah, where you've had an interaction and it didn't go how you thought it was, and you've come away and you feel a bit disappointed with them. Well, we're going to look at why that might be, because of course it always comes back to ourselves. So join me again. I'm going to put some more videos up. I hope you're enjoying the reconnection space that we're making here. And the good news is that as we grow this channel, I'm going to be having some guests coming on. So if you have a reconnection story, if you have a time when you really felt that you'd got that reconnection in yourself, in your world, in your universe around you, then why not drop us a note on the Be More webpage, www.bemore.uk. We'd love to hear from you. And perhaps you can be on our channel and help us grow it, so that we share with people how you can have healthy reconnection in your life. All right, take care.